there are some reoccurring traits in H.P. Lovecraft stories. Like he will come up with nightmare fuel, and he can elaborate because he was a chartographer, so he is someone who surveyed and then went a little bit further into regions to find out things that you need to know before you can contract some sort of geoengineering feat or something. And for instance, he'll correlate an event in Antarctica to something in voodoo, or some tribe, or a document, or manuscript or something that is like questionable, as to if it's like an indecipherable, like rantings and of a mad Arab, Abdul Hazred, Abdul Al Hazred. So these characters keep coming up. I don't know if I'm trying to explain shit. Because there's a kind of creation, dream work, mythology, something. So he was anti-religiosity, but more skeptical about scientism, and then he attempted to import his own worldview by his horror stories, telling you the disasters of the depths of, science is like the depths. Like some of the things are ridiculous, like because there's less oxygen in underneath the polar ice cap in the water, and they found like an underground lake bigger than, I don't know, like Salt Lake, I don't know, big lakes, a lot. So they thought that the Cthulhu lived under there, but you can only find tiny creatures there because there's less oxygen. But anyway, there's still an because he elaborates on the capabilities of like fungus to travel through space and not be affected by some things. Like they can bend light so that if you see it and you take a picture, it won't be on the camera. It won't be on the picture. And those kind of things are used to create nightmare fuel. Like the color out of space, it was like it couldn't be blown by the wind, And then he said often that reoccurring in stories, I heard him say that the lack of the ability to correlate all of your experiences to make a conveyance, like a message or something, is like merciful or something. Like that was like a source of mercy, possibly. Or he said it in different ways, so it's not all the same time. But a lot of his stories seem like he's putting back together like a Rubik's Cube. And it's the same thing, but he comes up with these different stories, or just basically just like a fuel for it's possible that it might be true kind of thing. So it can be scary. And it's other people have made stories like based on his, like Bertrand Russell and people like that. People that would want to go like up to in real life, like he's never known these people, but they would be like up to him in a picture or something like that. Like Aleister Crowley and stuff. Like he's kind of a cult image, so he's kind of like on the same stage with other cult images that you wouldn't want to probably negotiate a contract with. But and he has also his like own quirks that are like things that people would say that's like kind of a weird guy. But you could extrapolate from that the voodoo, the magic, the attempts by new species to vie for dominion in Antarctica, the other additional abilities of fungal capabilities to rewire like a neurosurgeon. They use this in Futurama to like the same principle could be converted from horror science fiction into comedy science fiction. With those heads that they have of all the celebrities because they ran into the Migos north of Arkham, where a lot of the stories start off like north of Arkham, right? So like I was thinking because the polar caps is like a geomagnetic pole or a kundalini, and it draws in frost from space, and right before it snows, it pulls in like a grain, like a tiny little grain of magic from space. And too much is not good for us. Too much is like would be terrible for us. So it's like the like nature is locked in a cycle of consumption and it's you know what I mean, like death in the cycle of like, you know, of consumption, and it's almost like it's out of balance. And what if too much like a meteorite could landed in north of Arkham, you know, and you heard a terrible sucking sound noise or something like that. And he says things that are just like off the wall, like I kind of know what this means. Like they were running through the trees, but they were lucky because the parts of the branches that writhing the most are up high, way up high. Otherwise, the branches down low, like, you know, become belligerents, you know, because they had been mutated by this kind of like meteor that is a metal that was like a soft metal that shrunk and left like, you know, it like left an indentation under the ground, like so it sunk into the ground, but it disappeared, and it affected the well, the water in the well, and like all these crops and stuff, plants. And, it sped up entropy. It caused us like a to go through the full extent of entropy and become brittle. So they were talking about the brittleness of everything at the blasted what's it called, the blasted hearth. But okay, enough about the one story because it's a network of stories, and there's like days worth of just that stuff. There's just days worth of it, and it's all tied together. Like you make an attempt to come back later and fit, like not fit. I'm not saying fix, but like connect things. Like it's like still